Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be back.
Today we're venturing into some truly ancient wisdom. Specifically, we're going to take a look at excerpts from one of the oldest texts we have, the Rig Veda.
And we've got quite a collection here. These hymns, they address all sorts of deities, different concepts.
Exactly, and they give us this fascinating, sometimes pretty surprising glimpse into a really different world. Belief, ritual, just daily life thousands of years ago.
Quite a window.
So our mission for this deep dive is, well, to unpack these ancient verses. We want to figure out who the key players were that they were invoking.
Yeah, who were they talking to? What were they actually asking for?
And most importantly, what does this tell us about the people who created them? Their concerns, their fears, their hopes, their whole worldview, really.
Absolutely, the underlying human element.
So get ready. We're going to explore divine horsemen rescuing people from shipwrecks.
Which is amazing.
The cosmos as, like, parents, the raw power of fire in ways you might not expect. The divine spark in food itself, and even, ancient ways of dealing with poison.
A real mix of the cosmic and the very, very practical.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with a pair who show up pretty frequently in these hymns. The Asvins.
Right, the Asvins, they're described in some really vivid ways.
Yeah, heaven's sons, the divine horsemen, always swift, always car-borne.
And usually invoked as a pair, right? You see Ye Mighty or both Nasatyas, they're a team.
Definitely a team. And their main role, it seems, is as these dynamic saviors, helpers.
Yeah, succorers is a word used. They help people in distress. And, importantly, they bless the pious man.
That suggests that relationship, doesn't it? Piety, maybe offerings or praise, gets you their help.
Exactly, a kind of reciprocity.
And nothing really shows this like the story of Tugra's son. It comes up again and again.
Oh, yeah. Lost amid the water floods, in serious trouble.
And the Asvins rescue him. They pull him out of the mighty surge.
And the description. In an animated ship with wings.
I know. Fled with easy flight, saved from being cast down into the thick, inevitable darkness.
And that detail about him clinging to a tree in the sea. Wow. You feel the desperation.
It really highlights their power over nature and their readiness to step in during very real physical danger.
And they're described as powerful themselves, right? Indra-like, Marut-like, wonderful indeed.
The best charioteers, and there's that interesting bit about them passing over the niggards.
Right, the stingy ones who don't offer gifts.
And instead favoring the singer, eloquent in praise.
It just keeps reinforcing that link. Human action giving, praising, brings divine favor.
So the requests people make to them make perfect sense. Bring your chariot, maybe with liquid sweets.
It's so much, honey. So good, anyway.
Protect us. Even crunch up dogs who bark at us or slay foes. Pretty direct.
Very direct. And asking them to make the praiser wealthy, accept the praise, come by the paths the gods travel. It all fits.
They're also linked closely with Dawn, waiting on Dawn, heaven's daughter.
And invoked after passing the limit of this darkness. So bringing light, overcoming hard times.
They even get involved in cosmic stuff, like arranging Surya's bridal, the sun's wedding.
With Puzins, yeah. And their horses, their giant steeds, are sprung from the waters. Poetic.
Ultimately, though, it seems focused on human well-being, coming to the dwelling of the pious, the house, to quicken man and his offspring.
To rejoice with the worshiper. And we see specific priests or families invoking them, like Gonatama, Promelia, Atri. So they were important across the board.
What's fascinating here is how these hymns combine cosmic roles, like attending dawn or arranging divine weddings, with these very practical, almost immediate concerns.
Like rescue from drowning or protection from enemies, yeah.
It really raises that question, how did people perceive the divine intervening in their actual daily lives? It wasn't abstract.
Not at all. It seems the divine was right there, ready to help with concrete problems. Very integrated.
That sense of practical divine help leads us nicely to another really fundamental pair in these hymns, heaven and earth, Deva Prithvi.
Ah, yes. Always presented as a pair, a duality.
Sometimes twin sisters, but other times they are the parents of gods.
Right, there's some fluidity there. But always together, faring together, meeting limits, kissing the center of the world together. It's very unified imagery.
And their role is just foundational. They support all things existing.
Everything alive, basically. The widespread offspring, having feet and moving, even though they themselves are motionless and footless. The stable base.
I love that analogy, comparing them to human parents.
Me too.
Yeah.
Plea. Like your own son upon his parents' bosom, protect us. from fearful danger. It's so relatable.
And that's what they're asked for, protection from fearful danger, keeping worshippers close to them, these worlds who suffer no pain.
They're asked to aid with favor, seen as mid the gods, connected to the cycle of day and night.
The descriptions emphasize their scale, don't they? Wide, vast, and manifold, whose bounds are distant.
Beautiful to look on. And linked to sustenance, too, making the nectar being all-sustaining.
But there's that other layer, too, that plea for the hymn to be expiation, like atonement for sin.
Right. Sin against gods or friends or even the head of the household.
So invoking heaven and earth wasn't just for physical safety. It was tied into moral well-being, reconciliation.
Definitely. They're sought as fundamental protectors, yes, but also benefactors. Friends of man who bless, preserve me, enriching the generous.
Invoked simply as father and mother, for preservation, for prayers to be fulfilled.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, seeing heaven and earth as these primary parents supporting everything, it really highlights this idea of a fundamental cosmic order.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're asked for both protection from danger and for dealing with sin shows this complex relationship. They provide the basis for existence, but they also interact with human morality,
That connection, cosmic, human, moral, intimacy, it brings us right to a figure who seems absolutely central and incredibly multifaceted. Agni.
Agni, fire. But wow, so much more than just fire.
He's everywhere in these hymns. His origins are described in all sorts of ways.
From water, from stone, like flint striking, right?
From out the forest, trees, and herbs. Born after law, the cosmic order, the embryo of the plants. He emerges from the basics.
And that leads to this incredible list of roles he plays.
Herald, cleanser, leader, kindler, director, the crucial ministering priest at the sacrifice.
The Brahmin, the Lord and Master in our home, even hero of heroes.
Here's the really mind-blowing part. The hymns don't just give him jobs, they explicitly identify him as other major gods.
This is key. One hymn just lays it out. Thou Agni art Indra, thou art Vishnu, Brahmanaspati, Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman, Amsa, the star, Rudra, the Marut's host, Asan, Savitar, Raga, Aditi, Hotri, Parati, Ila, Virtua Slayer, Sarasvati.
It's like he contains them all.
He embodies their functions, their power. It points to his absolute fundamental importance.
And he's described physically, too, shining, well-kindled, bright flames, raging with jaws of gold, quickening earth and sky, lighting homes all night.
Power, but also intimacy. His relationship with humans is so personal.
People seek him like a father, win him to brotherhood. He's a son to the worshiper, a trusty friend.
The fair guest, the king of all our folk. He's family, friend, protector, all rolled into one.
And his link to the other gods is through the sacrifice, right? He's the connection.
Exactly. The mouth of the Adityas, the tongue of the bright ones. The gods eat the offerings through him. He's the conduit, the messenger, carrying stuff from the human world to the divine.
Which explains why one hymn says he surpasses other gods in majesty.
Because he makes the whole system work. Without him, no connection, no effective ritual.
So what do people ask Agni for, basically? Everything.
Pretty much. Riches, wealth, huge amounts, countless gifts, strength, power, glory, horses, heroes, bliss, happiness, safety.
Removal of anything bad. Sin, danger, affliction, disease, protection from enemies, blessing the home, constant help, stopping danger, protection from slander, help with your plans.
He's the go-to for comprehensive well-being. Anything you could possibly need.
And his presence is just essential for the sacrifice itself. He labors at the pole. He encompasses all the sacrifice.
People flock to him with offerings, with hymns. He makes the offerings sweet, acceptable. The song chanted to him reaches the gods. He is the heart of the ritual.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Agni isn't just a fire god. He seems to function as like a central theological principle.
Exactly. He embodies the divine presence that makes sacrifice possible and effective. The way he takes on the roles of all those other deities, it suggests the sacrificial fire itself was seen as the main manifestation, the conduit for divine power.
It's this amazing layering of theology.
A masterclass in ancient theological layering, yeah. One core element becomes the nexus for the whole divine realm. It's pretty profound.
Beyond these, really big figures, the sources also give us glimpses of other deities and concepts that fill out the picture.
Right, it's not just the headliners.
There's Brahaspati, praised as a leader of song, powerful, listens to gods and mortals.
Associated with cosmic order, laying out the universe. And his song fills heaven and earth.
But he also punishes wealthy sinners who disrespect him. Again, that link between divine favor and behavior.
And sought for practical things like cattle and horses. Wealth is still key.
Then you have the opras. These are hymns specifically for the preparation of the sacrifice.
Like setting the stage, ritually speaking, invoking powers to make sure the main event goes perfectly.
Yeah, invoking Agni as purifier, Narasamsa lighting things up, the divine doors opening for the gods.
Night and morning weaving the worship, divine heralds guiding it, goddesses like Sarasvati, Farati, Ila, urging people towards fame through the ritual.
It's like calling in the divine support crew.
Exactly. Ensuring the ritual space and process are pure and effective. It shows how seriously they took the mechanics of the sacrifice itself.
And maybe one of the most surprising things, for me anyway, was the hymn praising food. Annam.
Personified food. It's not just fuel. It has agency, power.
Described as upholding strength, invigorating, a protector, auspicious, health-bringing, a dear and guileless friend.
Its essence diffuses like winds. It contains the spirit of great gods.
It even helped slay the dragon, Vertra, connected to cosmic battles.
Comes from the elements clouds, water, plants, linked to Soma, Vatapi, and crucially, it's the source of the sacrificial gifts themselves.
Seeing hymns for the process, apris, and for food. Wow.
It really shows how deeply integrated the ritual and physical worlds were with the divine, doesn't it?
Huh.
Food isn't just mundane. It's got divine power, enables ritual, and is worthy of praise, almost a deity itself.
That deep integration.
Oh.
It keeps coming up. Now let's shift gears a bit. There's a hymn dealing with poison and unseen creatures. A real contrast.
This tackles very real, very tangible threats, but frames them, again, in that religious or magical context.
Describes danger from venomous, aquatic worm, things that bite, sting with needle stings, infecting with poison.
And often sneaky, right? Unobserved, unseen, like lurking thieves at evening time.
The effect is serious. It kills, bruises them to death.
And it even lists specific places, certain types of grasses where these things hide. Sara, Darba, Kusara.
Showing some practical observation there. And it notes when they attack, often at night, when people are vulnerable.
When the cows had settled, lights of men extinguished. A dangerous time.
There's even that call for vigilance. Seers of all, themselves unseen. Be therefore very vigilant, acknowledging the threat.
But the core is the countermeasures, isn't it? How to ritually fight back.
Yeah, and it's this blend of symbolism and invocation. The sun is huge here.
The slayer of things unseen. It scorches much and everything, destroying things unseen. The sun literally turns poison into sweet meat, something harmless, light conquering darkness.
Then there are these symbolic elements. A little bird swallows the poison.
And those potent numbers. 3 times 7 bright sparks of fire.
The names of 90 rivers and of 9. 99 names.
Possibly. And the peahens, 3 times 7, the maiden sisters 7, carrying the venom away like water jars. Ritual cleansing.
There's direct action, too, like crushing the insect with a stone, but it's framed ritually, turning the poison away to distant lands.
And that amazing image, hanging the poison in the sun like a wineskin in a vintner's house.
Followed by that powerful affirmation, "He will not die, nor shall we die."
There's even that odd bit giving voice to the poison insect, claiming its venom has no strength, maybe showing the spell has weakened it.
This hymn is just such a specific window into everyday fears and protective magic.
Exactly. It tackles a real, physical danger venom, but the solutions are embedded in divine power, the sun, and these symbolic ritual acts. Numbers, entities, gestures.
It really shows that blend of practical observation, knowing where dangers lurk, and this belief in unseen forces and the power of counter magic.
A very compelling mix.
So let's try and bring this all together. We've seen the rescuing Asvins, the foundational heaven and earth, the pervasive Agni, the sacredness of ritual and food, the defense against poison. What does this tapestry tell us about their priorities?
Well, across the board, the concerns seem incredibly focused on, well, survival and thriving.
Definitely. Food, wealth, strength, offspring, protection from enemies, danger, disease, safe passage, overcoming darkness, just making it through and prospering.
And running through absolutely everything is the centrality of ritual. Sacrifice, offerings, praise, hymns.
They weren't optional extras.
Not at all. They seem to be the primary essential way to interact with the divine and get those blessings, that protection.
The divine world itself isn't distant or abstract here. It's multifaceted, active, involved.
Ready to step in?
Deities have roles, sure, but there's overlap, flexibility. Like Agni embodying so many others, it's dynamic.
And even the negative stuff like poison, unseen threats,
Yeah.
they're addressed within this religious system. There are divine or ritual answers.
Nothing seems outside its scope.
So connecting this back to you, the listener, What really stands out to you about this ancient worldview, these core concerns, safety, food, prosperity, wanting to thrive, be protected, find meaning, how similar or different do they feel to what people seek today? The names change, the rituals change, but those underlying human needs, they seem pretty timeless, don't they?
They really do resonate across the millennia. We've taken a deep dive into these fascinating excerpts from the Rig Veda, exploring all the diverse ways these ancient people called upon the divine for help, protection, prosperity,
From the asymptomatic rescues,
to the fundamental support of heaven and earth, the central power of Agni.
the vital force in food, the ritual ways to handle unseen dangers.
It paints such a vivid picture, a world deeply intertwined with the sacred, where ritual action was absolutely key to navigating life. They really remind us that while the specifics, the names, the rituals are ancient, those underlying human needs are incredibly persistent. Safety, sustenance, connections, security.
Things we still grapple with today.
Absolutely. So here's a final thought for you to consider as you reflect on this deep dive. These hymns consistently show deities being asked to intervene physically, directly. Saving from drowning, killing enemies, bringing actual wealth, removing literal poison.
Very tangible interventions.
So what does this really strong emphasis on physical, material help tell us about how they perceive the boundary, or maybe the radical lack of a boundary between the divine and the material world in this ancient tradition? Something to think about?